Hello dear student, welcome to your new session. In this session we'll start electric current, or we can say current electricity. Second chapter, that is electric potential and capacitor, in which electric potential part is finished. Capacitor will be covered in this chapter because, my dear student, to solve the numericals of capacitor we need to some laws which require to solve the capacitor portion. That law will be deal in this chapter. That's why capacitor portion will be covered in this chapter as well. So don't worry at all and follow the instructions given by me. So this is your current electricity. So very first thing about current electricity is, my dear student, to start the chapter current electricity, we have to know about three things of solid, or we can say three category of solid according to the flow of current. So write down very first topic, it is types of solid on the basis of flow of current. Types of solid on the basis of flow of current. Types of solid on the basis of flow of current. Now see, my dear student, according to flow of current, solid is categorized into three parts. I am repeating once again. According to flow of current, or we can say how the flow of current will be takes place on solid, on that basis solid is categorized into three parts. First is your insulator. Second is semiconductor, and the third type is conductor. So my dear student, on the basis of flow of current, we will categorize solid into three different parts. First is insulator, second is semiconductor, and third is conductor. Now we all aware with all these three types of solid, because these things are very quite easy to understand, because these things will be dealt in previous classes as well by you. So if I am talking about insulator, so insulator means those solids which cannot allow electricity to pass over them is called insulator. So write down the very first definition, it is insulator. So if I am talking about insulator, then insulator is those solids which cannot allow electricity, or we can say current to pass over them. Are called insulator. So remember, those solids which cannot allow electricity, or we can say current to pass over them, are called insulator. Second is semiconductor. So basically semiconductor, we have whole chapter in our syllabus related to semiconductor, my dear student, but I'll introduce you. See, initially semiconductor are insulators, but after adding some impurity, it becomes partial conductor. So if I am saying that semiconductor is partial conductor, it means it allow electricity to pass over them, but not huge amount, very less. That is, semiconductor can be say its conductivity is greater than insulator but less than conductor. So we'll say about semiconductor, it is those solids which allow partially the flow of current which allow partially the flow of current is called semiconductor, is called semiconductor. Those solids which allow partially the flow of current is called over them partially flow of current over them are called semiconductor, so semiconductor can allow very less amount of current to pass over them. I'll write one more point related to semiconductor. So semiconductor allow very less amount of current to pass over them, So remember, my dear student, one is conductor, second is semiconductor, and third is insulator. So if I am talking about insulator, then those solid which cannot allow electricity or we can say current to pass over them are called insulator. Semiconductor, those solids which allow partially the flow of current over them are called semiconductor. Semiconductors allow very less amount of current to pass over them. And next is, my dear student, conductor. So conductor are those materials which allow electricity to pass over them are called conductor. So I'll write here, those solids which allow current to pass over them are called conductor. Remember, those solids which allow current to pass over them are called conductor. So solid on the basis of flow of current categorized into three types. First is your insulator, second is your semiconductor, and third is your conductor. Insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them. I'll write some example. So example of insulator, we all know about these things: wood, rubber, etc. These are basically insulators. So insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them. Second is semiconductor. So those solids which allow partial. Let's suppose if you are sending 1 ampere current, let's suppose 0.5 ampere current will be allowed to pass over the semiconductor. So we can say those solids which allow partially the flow of current over them are called semiconductor. Semiconductors allow very less amount of current to pass over them. Let's consider its example: germanium, silicon, arsenic, argon, etc. These are basically examples of semiconductor. Now moving forward, if I am talking about conductor, then those solids which allow current to pass over them are called conductor. For example, let's suppose copper, let's suppose iron, let's suppose silver. These are the examples of, my dear student, conductor. So remember, on the basis of flow of current, we categorized solid into three parts. First is your insulator, second is your semiconductor, and third is your conductor. Now we will see the mechanism why insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them, why semiconductor allow partial amount of current to pass over them, and why conductor allow whole amount of current to pass over them. So let's start. My dear student, as we all know, there is a term called free electron, which you'll study in chemistry as well. Free electrons are those electrons which comes out from the shell at room temperature. So free electrons, the term called free electrons. So let's check it out, what actually free electrons is, and why conductor is allow electricity to pass over them, and why insulator is not allow electricity to pass over them. See, there is a term called free electrons. So So what is basically free electrons? Free electrons are those electrons. We know that atom, everything is made up of atom, and this is the orbital structure of atom. The center is called nucleus, in which proton and neutron are present, and in these orbits electrons are there. So my dear student, the electron which is present on outermost shell can comes out from the outermost shell at room temperature itself. Room temperature itself. And this electron becomes what beta? Free electron. So everything carry free electrons. Let's suppose I am taking insulator. Let's suppose this is a piece of wood. This is a piece of wood which is considered to be insulator. So for insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them. Means, let's suppose I am applying some current on A point. At point B, we doesn't get any amount of current. The value of current is equals to 0 if we have a piece of wood which is called insulator. So we'll say in insulator no free electrons is present. See my dear student, these free electrons are basically charge carrier. Free electrons are nothing but charge carrier. Free electrons are nothing but charge carrier. These free electrons can take charge from one point to another point. This is like a transporter. You can say free electron is like a truck in which charge will come and it moves forward and it gives you the value of current. So free electron are nothing but charge carrier. So in insulator, the number of free electrons is 0. So if no charge carrier is present on insulator, then current cannot passes over the insulator. So we'll say insulator cannot conduct electricity, or we can say insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them because no free electrons are present in insulator. So write down, insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them. Insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them. Insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them as no free electrons, which acts as charge carrier. No free electrons which acts as charge carrier. No free electrons which acts as charge carrier present in insulator. So we'll say, my dear student, that basically free electron is nothing but charge carrier. These free electrons can take charge from one point and release to another point. So in case of insulator, no charge carrier is present. No charge carrier is present. So if charge carrier is not present, that is free electron is not present, charge carrier means nothing but free electron. So if no free electrons is present on insulator, then no current will be conducted through insulator. Moving forward, my dear student, next is our semiconductor. So we'll say semiconductor is basically those solid which allow a partial amount of current to pass over them. So we'll say in semiconductor, very few amount, not equal to 0, very few amount of free electrons, which is charge carrier, is present. That's why conductor can allow a less amount of electricity, or we can say current, to pass over them. So write down, in semiconductor small amount of free electron is present, small amount of free electron is present, which acts as charge carriers, hence it allow small amount of current to pass over them, So my dear student, basically in semiconductor, very less amount of free electrons which acts as charge carrier is present. That's why it allow small amount of current to flow over them. Moving forward, my dear student, if I am talking about conductor, so in case of conductor, we'll see conductor can allow electricity to pass over them. Why? Because huge amount of free electrons which acts as charge carriers present in, my dear student, conductor. So write down, conductor can allow electricity to pass over them because large amount of free electron, that is charge carriers, is present in conductor. Charge carrier is present in conductor. So my dear student, this is all about insulator, semiconductor and conductor. Conductor can allow electricity to pass over them. First thing, why? Because large amount of free electrons which acts as charge carriers is present inside the conductor. Second, insulator. In case of insulator, no charge carrier, that is free electron, is present, hence it cannot allow electricity to pass over them or current to pass over them. Next is semiconductor. So semiconductor is considered to be partial conductor, not insulator, not 100% conductor, it is partial conductor. Partial conductor means it allow some amount of electricity to pass over them, or we can say some amount of current to pass over them because it carry very less amount of free electrons which acts as charge carrier. So it can allow some amount of current to pass over them. And some examples of semiconductor are like germanium, silicon, arsenic, argon. These are examples of semiconductor. In case of conductor, the examples are copper, silver, aluminium, iron. These are examples of conductor. Similarly, if I am talking about insulator, in which no free electrons, that is no charge carrier is present, no transporter is present which can take charge from one point to another point. That's why in case of insulator, we'll say it cannot allow electricity to pass over them. So this is all about types of solid on the basis of flow of current. So remember, three types of solids are there on the basis of flow of current: semiconductor, conductor and insulator. Semiconductor is acts as partial conductor, conductor is 100% conductor, it allow 100% electricity to pass over them. Insulator cannot allow electricity to pass over them because no free electrons which are acts as charge carrier present in insulator. So charge carriers, that is free electron, is maximum in conductor and minimum in insulator. So write down in form of note, charge carrier, write down in form of note, charge carrier, that is free electrons, charge carrier, that is free electrons, charge carriers, that is free electrons, charge carrier, that is free electrons, is maximum in conductor. Charge carriers, that is free electron, is maximum in conductor, is maximum in conductor and maximum in conductor and minimum in insulator. Charge carrier, that is free electron, is maximum in conductor and minimum in insulator. Maximum in conductor and minimum in insulator. Moving forward, my dear student, let's start with our very first topic of this chapter, that is current. Current. So basically, first thing about current is, it is a scalar quantity. It is a scalar quantity which only depends on magnitude. It is a scalar quantity which only depends on magnitude, but not direction. So basically, current is a scalar quantity, my dear student, which only depends on magnitude but not direction. First thing. Second thing about current is, current is represented by I. Second thing I'll write, it is presented by I. It is presented by I. Write down, current is a scalar quantity. Write down, current is a scalar quantity which only depends on magnitude but not direction. Second thing, it is presented by I. Now see how we'll define current. So current is Q by T. Q means charge and T means time. So current is equals to charge upon time. Now see, my dear student, this divide symbol is said to be rate. This divide symbol is said to be rate. So we'll define the current as rate of flow of charge with respect to time, because in denominator time is there, so charge is flowing with respect to time. So we'll define the current as rate of flow of charge, with respect to time is called rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. Remember this thing, rate of flow of charge. Divide means rate, and if in terms of denominator, if I am talking about denominator, time is present, so charge is flowing with respect to time. If charge is flowing with respect to time, then it defines a value called, my dear student, current. So remember this thing, rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. So rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. Charge upon time, Q by T. Now if I am talking about its SI unit, so I is equals to Q by T. Q is charge, the SI unit of charge is coulomb, and the SI unit of time is second. So coulomb per second, also called ampere. So the SI unit of current is, either we can say coulomb per second, or we can say, my dear student, ampere. So the SI unit of current is coulomb per second, or we can say ampere. Write it down fast, my dear student. Current is represented by I is equals to charge per unit time, that is Q by T, and the definition is rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. It is represented by I. Its SI unit is, either we can say coulomb per second. So coulomb per second is nothing but ampere. Now in some time in your exam they are asking about define 1 ampere current. So remember, current is nothing but rate of flow of charge with respect to time. if charge is flowing with respect to time, the quantity which defines is called current. So in some time, in exam they are asking for define 1 ampere current. So write down, define 1 ampere current, define 1 ampere current. So see my dear student, I is equals to Q by T. We know that the SI unit of charge is coulomb and the SI unit of time is second and the SI unit of current is ampere, which is also called coulomb per second. So they are asking for 1 ampere current. So put one here and one here. You will get the definition of 1 ampere current. As I already said you, this divide means rate. So we'll say rate of flow of 1 coulomb charge in 1 second is called 1 ampere current. If 1 coulomb charge is flowing in 1 second, then the current which defines is called 1 ampere current. So I'll write the definition. It is rate of flow of 1 coulomb charge with respect to 1 second, or we can say with respect to, or we can say in 1 second. In 1 second, the current which defines is called 1 ampere. The current which defines is called 1 ampere. So I hope you all understand. Current is nothing but rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current, and charge is coulomb, time is second, so coulomb per second is ampere. Either you will say the SI unit of current is coulomb per second, or you will say the SI unit of current is ampere. Now we will discuss about 1 ampere. So 1 ampere is nothing but rate of flow of 1 coulomb charge in 1 second is called 1 ampere current. 1 coulomb charge in 1 second is called 1 ampere current. So I'll write the definition. It is rate of flow of 1 coulomb charge with respect to 1 second, or we can say in 1 second, the current which defines is called 1 ampere current. So I hope you all understand what actually 1 ampere current is. So 1 ampere current is nothing but rate of flow of 1 coulomb charge in 1 second. The current which defines is called 1 ampere current. So I'll write it down. Rate of flow of 1 coulomb charge with respect to 1 second, or in 1 second, the current which defines is called 1 ampere current. Now moving forward, my dear student, let's focus on the definition of current. So the definition of current is rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. So current is defined basically with respect to time. Current is defined with respect to time. I am repeating once again. Current is defined with respect to time. So here comes the definition of current. It is, the definition of current is rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. So as we'll see, the current is defined with respect to time. And my dear student, anything which is defined with respect to time, we have to categorize that thing into two types. Why? Because in physics, time is basically of two types. So write down, current is defined, write down, current is defined, first of all, put down the heading, types of current on the basis of time. 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 So see my dear student, basically current is rate of flow of charge with respect to time. So write down, as current is defined, write down, as current is defined with respect to time, as current is defined with respect to time, as current is defined with respect to time, as current is defined with respect to time and time is of two types, and time is of two types, hence current is also categorized into two types. Hence current is also categorized into two types. Remember my dear student, as current is rate of flow of charge with respect to time. Current is defined rate of flow of charge with respect to time. Hence, as we know in physics, time is basically of two types. So on the basis of time, current is also categorized into two types. Number one type of current is average current. So first type of current is average current, and second type of current is instantaneous current. So write down, as current is defined with respect to time and time is of two types, hence current is also categorized into two types. First type of current is average current and second type of current is instantaneous current. First type of current is average current and second type of current is instantaneous current. So let's check it out, what actually average current is and what actually instantaneous current is. So you have to remember this thing, my dear student, as basically current is categorized into two types on the basis of time. Why on the basis of time? Because current is defined with respect to time. See the definition, it is rate of flow of charge with respect to time. So with respect to time, it means with respect to times means currents is basically defined on the basis of time, and in physics we'll categorize time into two types. So if time is of two types and current is defined with respect to time, so current is also categorized into two types. Let's check it out, what actually average current is and what actually instantaneous current is. So before starting the discussion of average current and instantaneous current, first of all try to understand the types of current. So write down types of current, types of time, I'm sorry, not current, types of time. So time is basically of two types. One is, we can say, average time. This average time is also called time interval. Time interval. Average time is also called time interval and it is represented by delta t. Similarly, if I am talking about second part of time, then it is instantaneous time. Remember, instantaneous time, and instantaneous time is represented by dt. dt is also said to be small change in time, small change in time, and delta t is also said to be change in time. Delta t is said to be change in time and dt is said to be small change in time. So write down, my dear student, on the basis of time, we'll categorize current into two types, as current is defined with respect to time. And if time is of two types, then current is also categorized into two types. First is average current and second is instantaneous current, because time is of two types. One is your average time, which is also called time interval, and second is your instantaneous time, which is also called small change in time. Small change in time. So average time and time interval. What is the meaning of average time? So see, my dear student, if you have two times t1 and t2, if you have two times t1 and t2, then t1 is considered to be initial time and t2 is considered to be final time. In that case, we will talk about average. Remember, we'll talk about average. Let's suppose I'm saying you when between t is equals to 10 am to t is equals to 12 pm, what is your basically performance? So you will say, okay, sir is asking for t is equals to 10 am to t is equals to 12 am. So it means that the sir is giving time slot. So if time slot is given, my dear student, then we are talking about average time. If I'll say you, okay, tell me at 10 is equals at t is equals to 10 am, what you are doing? So we are talking about at particular instant of time. In that case, we are talking about instantaneous term, and if time slot is given, then we are talking about average time. So write down, my dear student, average current. Average current. So average current is basically written by I average. So I average is nothing but delta Q by delta T. I average is nothing but delta Q by delta T. As we know, current is basically Q by T, rate of flow of charge with respect to time. But if I am talking about average current, in that scenario, we have two different times, my dear student. So average current is equals to delta Q by delta T. So average current will be write as Q2 minus Q1 upon T2 minus T1. Average current is equals to Q2 minus Q1 upon T2 minus T1, where Q2 is nothing but charge at T2 time and Q1 is nothing but charge at T1 time. T2 time is also said to be final time and T1 time is also said to be initial time. So average current is basically delta Q by delta T, and delta Q can be write as Q2 minus Q1 upon T2 minus T1. So Q2 is nothing but charge at T2 time and Q1 is nothing but charge at T1 time. So I hope you all understand. As time is of two types, average time and instantaneous time, time slot and particular instant of time, and current is defined with respect to time. So if time is categorized into two types, then current is also categorized into two types. One is for average time and second is for instantaneous time. Instantaneous time is represented by dt and average time is represented by delta t. Delta t means change in time, t2 minus t1, and dt means small change in time, my dear student, or we can say at any particular instant of time. If anyone is asking about anything, then we are talk about instantaneous term. So average current is delta Q by delta T. It is Q2 minus Q1 upon T2 minus T1. Q2 is nothing but charge at T2 time and Q1 is nothing but charge at T1 time. So remember this thing, Q2 is charge at T2 time and Q1 is charge at T1 time. So moving forward, my dear student, let's talk about instantaneous current. So write down instantaneous current. Write down instantaneous current. Instantaneous current. Instantaneous current. So what is actually instantaneous current is? Let's check it out. So instantaneous current. Instantaneous current. So see, my dear student, instantaneous current, the current which is defined at any particular instant of time is called instantaneous current. Average current is the current which is defined at an interval of time. I'll write here the current which defines the current which defines at any interval of time. The current which defines at any interval of time is called average current. Is called average current. The current which defines at any interval of time is called average current. Now moving forward, my dear student, I'm talking about instantaneous current. So before starting instantaneous current, just try to understand what I'm talking is. If I'm talking about delta t, so delta t is nothing but t2 minus t1. Let's suppose the initial time is 3 p.m. and the final time is 3.01 second p.m. if we are seeing here, then the change in time becomes equals to t2 minus t1. So 3.01 second minus 3, it is 0.01 second. Now see my dear student, the change in time, the value of change in time is very small, it is 0.01 second. This change is so much small and this change can be neglected as well, my dear student, because if in your watch, if I'm asking what is the time, and if the exact time is 9.01 second, 9.01 second AM, let's suppose AM, you never say 9.01 second. Either you will say 9 AM or you will say 9 AM, you will say 9.5 AM, or we can say 9.5 is the time. So what we will see, my dear student, we will see that if change in time is very small, then this change is so much small and we can neglect this change. In that scenario, if I'll understand this thing, then it is delta t is equals to t2 minus t1. So delta t is equals to very small change in time. So I'll say if delta t tends to 0, not equal to 0, my dear student, this symbol is tends to. As you'll see here, the change in time is very small. So if change in time is very small, then it is approximately considered to be 0, equal to 0. So if delta t tends to 0, in that case, average current will consider to be instantaneous current. So what actually happen? The thing is, if change in time is very small, if the change in time is very small and it tends to 0, then we'll say average will be converted into instantaneous. So let's see how we'll present this. If delta t, that is change in time, tends to 0, then average current becomes equal to instantaneous current. And we know that average current is delta q by delta t. It will be if this average current, the value of average current is this delta q by delta t. And what I'm saying limit delta t tends to 0. If change in time tends to 0, then average current is equals to instantaneous current. So instantaneous current becomes equals to C. Change in time is very small. So if change in time is very small, then delta t is replaced by dt, because dt is nothing but small change in time. So I'll say change in time is very small. Now my dear student, remember, just go through the definition of current. Current is nothing but rate of flow of charge with respect to time. Rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. So if change in time is very small, then flow of charge is also very small. So we can write I is equals to dq by dt. This is the formula of instantaneous current. So current is basically defined with respect to time, and time is of two types. One is your instantaneous time, second is your average time. So if I'm talking about average time, then the current which defines is called average current. And if I'm talking about instantaneous time, then the current which defines is called instantaneous current. So instantaneous current can be write as dq by dt, and average current can be write as delta q by delta t. Delta q means q2 minus q1 upon t2 minus t1, and instantaneous current is dq by dt. Now see my dear student, this is basically nothing but symbol of differentiation. So write down in form of note. For finding instantaneous current, we have to differentiate charge with respect to time dt. We have to differentiate charge with respect to time dt. So remember my dear student, on the basis of time, current is categorized into two types. One is instantaneous current and second is average current. If time interval is given, then we are talking about average current. and if instantaneous time, that is small change in time is there, then we are talking about instantaneous current. And instantaneous current is nothing but dq by dt. This formula dq by dt implies you have to differentiate the charge with respect to time, you will get the value of instantaneous current. So let's do some numerical on the basis of instantaneous current and average current. So write down, if the flow of charge, if the flow of charge is given by equation, if the flow of charge is given by equation, if the flow of charge is given by equation q is equals to 3t square plus 4t plus 9, if the flow of charge is given by equation q is equals to 3t square plus 4t plus 9, find the value of current, find the value of current between time t is equals to 0 to t is equals to 1 second. Find the value of current between time t is equals to 0 to t is equals to 1 second. So my dear student, the question is if the flow of charge is given by equation q is equals to 3t square plus 4t plus 9, then find the value of current between time t is equals to 0 to t is equals to 1 second. You have to find the value of current between time t is equals to 0 to t is equals to 1 second. So t is equals to 0 to t is equals to 1 second implies you have time interval, my dear student, because see, initial time t1 is 0 and final time t2 is 1 second. So as we already know that if time interval is there, then we are talking about average current. And for any particular instant of time, we are talking about instantaneous current, dear students. So here time interval is given, that is t1 and t2. So we'll find the average current. So average current is nothing but delta q by delta t. Delta q means q2 minus q1 upon t2 minus t1. So just find the value of q2. So q2 means charge at t2. Now see, in this equation charge is depends on time. So first put the value of t2, you will get, instead of t put the value of t2, you will get q2. Instead of value of t put t1, you will get q1. So for q is equals to q1, t is equals to t1. So q is nothing but 3t1 square plus 4t1 plus 9. So q1 becomes equals to 3t1. t1 is 0. So 3 into 0 square plus 4 into 0 plus 9. It means q1 is equals to 9 coulomb. Similarly, for q is equals to q2, put t is equals to t2. So q2 is equals to 3t2 square plus 4t2 plus 9. So q2 becomes equals to, the value of t2 is 1. So 3 into 1 square plus 4 into 1 plus 9. So q2 is equals to 3 plus 4 plus 9. So q2 is equals to 7 plus 9. So we'll get the value of q2, we'll get the value of q1. So my dear student, this is how we have to find the value of q1 and q2 if we have two different times is there. So let's find the value of average current. So I average is nothing but q2 minus q1 upon t2 minus t1. So I average is equals to 9 plus 7 is nothing but, I hope you all understand how we'll find. So try to solve the question, my dear student, and get your answer. So 16 minus 9 upon 1 minus 0. So I average becomes equals to 16 minus 9. So try to find the value of question, my dear student, so that you will get your answer. I hope you all understand this. So it is 7 ampere. I hope you all understand. You will get your answer. you'll get your answer. So answer is nothing but 7 ampere. So this is the value of average current. This is how we'll get the value of average current. Now moving forward, if they are asking for instantaneous current, let's suppose in second part in this question, in this similar question, let's suppose they are asking for find the value of current, in B part they are asking find the value of current at t is equals to 1 second. Find the value of current at t is equals to 1 second. So they are asking for current at t is equals to 1 second. So see my dear student, here only one time is given, and if only one time is given, then we'll have to find instantaneous current. So instantaneous current is nothing but dq by dt. So we have to differentiate this charge with respect to time. So d over dt, 3t square plus 4t plus 9. You all are, I hope you all are aware with differentiation. I hope so. So I is equals to 3t square. So differentiation of 3t square is 3 comes outside 2, differentiation of tt square it is 2t, so 6t plus differentiation of 4t is 4 and 9 is constant, it is 0. So I is equals to 6t plus 4. Now see, you have to find the value of current at t is equals to 1 second. So put t is equals to 1 second in given equation. So I is equals to 6 into 1 plus 4. So I is equals to 10 ampere. This is the value of current at t is equals to 1 second. This is the value of current between time t is equals to 0 to t is equals to 1 second. I hope you all understand both the questions, my dear student. So this is all about the basic information of current. Current is categorized into two types. As we know that on physics, time is categorized into two types. One is average time and second is instantaneous time. If I am talking about average time, then you have two different times. If you are talking about instantaneous time, then only one time is given. If only one time is given, then finding the value of current, it is so easy. You have to differentiate the charge with respect to time. Moving forward, my dear student, as we all know, current is nothing but q by t, that is rate of flow of charge with respect to time. Rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. It is I is equals to q by t. I is equals to q by t, that is rate of flow of charge with respect to time is called current. Now moving forward, see, q is nothing but Ne. As we all aware with this formula, this is basically quantization of charge. So in some time, I is equals to also write as Ne by t. So remember this formula as well, my dear student. I is equals to Ne by t, where N is number of charge, E is value of basic charge, and about t we know that t is nothing but time. N is any integer and E is, my dear student, basic charge. The value of basic charge, as we all know, 1.6 into 10 raised power minus 19 coulomb. Moving forward, my dear student, write down some more formula. Conversion of current. Conversion of current. Write down conversion of current. Write down next heading, conversion of current. Conversion of current. So see, my dear student, in some time the value of current is in milliampere. Milliampere. So 1 milliampere is nothing but 10 raised power minus 3 ampere. Remember this, 1 milliampere is equals to 10 raised power minus 3 ampere. So if current is given in terms of milliampere, just multiply it with 10 raised power minus 3, the milliampere will be converted into ampere. Similarly, sometimes the current is also in microampere. So 1 microampere is nothing but 10 raised power minus 6 ampere. So remember these two conversions, my dear student. If current is in milliampere, then converting ampere, you have to multiply it with 10 raised power minus 3. Similarly, if current is given in microampere, then it will be multiplied with 10 raised power minus 6. So, microampere will be converted into ampere. Milliampere and microampere are the small unit of current, whereas ampere is the larger unit of current. So always you have to convert milliampere or microampere into ampere. For milliampere, you have to multiply it with 10 raised power minus 3. For microampere, you have to multiply the term with 10 raised power minus 6. So I hope, my dear student, about current, basic information of current is clear on your mind. So make your proper notes and try to solve more questions given in your book related to average current and instantaneous current. Remember, if 2 time is there, then we are talking about average current. If only 1 time is there, if I am talking about particular instant of time, then we will talk about instantaneous current and average current. So remember the definition of current. It is rate of flow of charge with respect to time, Q by T. T is categorized into 2 types, delta T and dt. So average and instantaneous. I'll show you how to find the value of average current, how to find the value of instantaneous current. For average current, put T is equals to T1 in Q is equals to Q1, T is equals to T2 in Q is equals to Q2, subtract and divide with time, you will get average current. For instantaneous current, nothing will be done. You have to differentiate the charge with respect to time, you will got average current, value of average current. But for finding instantaneous current, you must aware with the process called differentiation. So practice differentiation, go through the formula if you are not aware with differentiation. So thank you so much, my dear student, for this lecture. In next lecture, we'll discuss some more topics and some more numericals. Till then, stay happy, take care. Thank you so much.